Greetings, I am N0NA715, and welcome to the deep dive for the Automaton Ancestry. Engage Review. Howdy, my name is Nonat, and welcome to the deep dive into the Automaton Ancestry for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. The Automaton Ancestry has come out with the new Guns and Gears supplement, and oh boy, this is an ancestry. This goes way beyond androids like we got before. This is a full-on robotic ancestry that has no fleshy bits to speak of. So let's dive right in and find out exactly how these mechanical beings work. Engage sponsorship. Before we dive into the review though, let me tell you all about the RPG Superstar 2021 competition going on right now by Roll for Combat. If you go to rpgsuperstar.com, you can enter your own unique monster design into their competition. Your design will go through multiple rounds of judging and could potentially win the grand prize or even get the bronze, silver, gold, or platinum ranking within the competition. Your monster design may be reviewed by professional game designers who will be assigning the prizes. Oh, did I say prizes? I did, because there is not only the prize of recognition, having your creature and name put into the next Battle Zoo Bestiary in 2022, but you'll also get your share of cash prizes. Over 100 people can win, and you can enter up to 3 unique creatures to maximize your odds of success. You have until December 7th to enter your unique monster design, and if you happen to be having some trouble figuring out how best to design a monster, keep your eyes peeled. Sometime soon in the month of November, Stephen Glicker, Mark Seifter, and myself will all be getting together to host a live stream, creating a new unique monster for you and answering any questions you may have. I will say, however, and I may break a heart with this, almost anybody can enter this competition. However, if you have a hardcover credit of any kind throughout the TTRPG world, you are unfortunately forbidden from entering. So just about anyone can join, but again, if you have a hardcover credit, I'm afraid you do not qualify. So get working, get creative, and get designing your 3 unique monsters to enter into the RPG Superstar contest. Thank you so much to Roll for Combat for sponsoring this video. Let's talk about robots. The Automaton is of course a rare ancestry, meaning you need express GM permission to use it, and that's understandable. Not everybody wants actual walking, talking robots in their RPG. They get 8 hit points, and they're a modular ancestry, meaning you can be medium or small, completely your choice. They have a 25-foot move speed, and their ability boosts are to strength and 1 for free, and they do not have an ability flaw. Pretty much the same as orcs from the APG, this is amazing and makes them incredibly customizable without taking a penalty to anything. Interesting to note is that automatons come from the plane of Axis, which I believe is the neutral plane? I was close. It is the lawful neutral plane. The plane of Axis cares only for law, doesn't care if it's good or evil law. Just law. And as such, Automaton can speak Utopian, which is the language of the plane of Axis. They can of course also speak Common and additional languages equal to their intelligence modifier. Interestingly, automatons do not have the humanoid trait. This is very important, as this will make them immune to some specific humanoid-only effects. They are actually constructs. However, they aren't constructs fully in the way of some construct monsters. This is because of their automaton core. This is the flavoring of why an automaton can still be healed by something like the heal spell and suffer things like poison and disease. This is because within the automaton is a living core that can suffer such afflictions. This does give them a benefit though. They can't be broken and they can't be destroyed just by hitting 0 hit points. They will fall unconscious like a normal creature, and upon being healed, be back to fighting fit, which is really nice because if your player character, upon reaching half hit points, became broken, that would be kind of hilarious, but really debilitating. Constructs don't need to eat, and they don't need to drink water, which is kinda cool. However, I love this. The construct does still need to enter a 2-hour standby phase to recuperate and recharge itself. This is similar to sleep, but the construct is aware of their surroundings, which makes them really overpowered for keeping watch for the party. Keep that in mind, but yeah, they only need to recharge for 2 hours a day, but if they don't recharge, they do become fatigued, similar to a normal person not getting to sleep. And they only get low light vision, not dark vision. This is interesting, as this is one of the only ancestries I've ever seen get 2 pages of sidebars to describe their starting features. You have 4 heritages to choose from for your automaton, and they're very interesting because they're sort of what your automaton was designed to do. Starting off with the hunter automaton, which actually can walk on all 4 legs like a quadruped or stand up straight. And if on all 4s, your movement speed actually increases to 30 feet. Keep in mind, both hands do need to be free, but for something like a quadruped monk, that's really good. The Mage Automaton gives you a cantrip from the arcane spell list. Simple as that, it auto-heightens. Since it is an innate spell, it does use your charisma to cast, which is weird for an automaton. But yeah, this heritage just gives you a cantrip. The Sharpshooter Automaton is kind of insane. It gives you the Automaton Aim action. Try saying that 5 times fast. Automaton Aim is pretty simple. If you spend an action and your next action is to attack, you can attack from the second range increment of your ranged weapon at no penalty. You can also use Automaton Aim again for a second action, and then if your third action is to attack, you can attack from your third range increment at no penalty. If you're using something like a crossbow with a 120-foot range increment, then if you spend all 3 actions to aim, strike, you can attack from 360 feet away at no penalty. This is incredible. Put this on a precision ranger or a sniper gunslinger and you have got an insanely powerful sniper on your hands. Imagine the precision ranger with a longbow attacking from 300 feet away. Sure, he's only attacking once per round, but he's not getting attacked back and he's just having the time of his life. That's insane. And finally, the Warrior Automaton deals 1d6 damage with unarmed strikes instead of 1d4 and doesn't take a penalty to make them lethal. You'd think none of them would get a lethal penalty because their fists are metal, but for the sake of balance, it's put on a heritage. Now let's talk feats. I want to preface this because automatons have a unique feat feature called enhancement. Don't worry about that when you're first looking at the feats. Enhancements can be activated by taking much higher level feats, which improve lower level feats. I'll explain them when we get to them, but I will be explaining the enhancement effect as we go over the feat at level. For example, Automaton Armament at level 1. This allows you to pick one of 2 unique alternate unarmed strikes to replace your fist. This can either be a claw or a pincer. The claw is a 1d4 slashing agile attack, so this allows you to use dex to hit and it only has a -4 multiple attack penalty. The pincer, while not agile, does have the grapple trait and deals 1d6 piercing instead. So if you want that little bit more damage and item bonus to grabbing people, that's not a bad option. Should you enhance this feat at a higher level, it does upgrade the damage die of your selected weapon. The claw becomes a 1d6, the pincer becomes a 1d8. Pretty solid. Arcane Communication allows you to communicate simply through touch telepathically. You can't do this at any range, but as long as you are touching a creature and you share at least one language, you can speak to them silently. If you enhance this feat at a higher level, it gives you a 10-foot range of telepathy. Not that much better, because maybe that's useful in combat or maybe in a tense social situation, but overall it's not going to come up all that often, especially when the message spell exists. Arcane Eye upgrades your low light vision to dark vision, and if you enhance it at a higher level, it lets you cast See Invisibility once per hour, which is really good. Automaton Lore is your classic Ancestry lore feat. It gives you trained in Arcana and Crafting, and you also become trained in Automaton Lore. But this one has an enhancement. If you enhance this feat, either your Arcana or Crafting get an automatic bump to Expert, and your Automaton lore gets bumped to Expert. And even better, if you were already an expert in that chosen skill, you are bumped to Master instead. Very nice free skill increase. Alright, let's talk about Energy Beam. First off, yes, it gives you laser vision. You are Cyclops from the X-Men, you can shoot a beam of energy out of your eye that deals 1d4 fire damage. Very cool. But what's very special about this is it is a 1d4 fire damage unarmed strike. If you were in my Guns and Gear stream, you know where I'm going with this. If we take a look at the monk's flurry of blows, you can see that it can be used with any unarmed strike. This means that as an automaton monk, you can flurry of lasers. And you can make 2 energy beam strikes for a single freaking action. This is so cool. Laser Monk is a thing. Also, if you ever critically hit with your energy beam, you deal persistent fire damage equal to the number of weapon damage dice. It's just so good. This is an amazing first level feat. There's no cooldown, you can do this anytime. And remember, it's a 20-foot range increment. So even if you're gonna take a -2 or -4, this gives you like a 60-foot range option just at a penalty to hit. This is incredible. If you enhance it, you upgrade it to a D6 instead of a D4. This is sort of the fan favorite level 1 automaton feat. There's no contest. Reinforced chassis isn't bad. This effectively allows you to build half-plate armor onto yourself. What's really amazing about it though is that it counts as medium armor. Gives you a +4 bonus to AC, maximum +1 dex cap, a check penalty -2, speed penalty -5, strength value 16. As I said, it's basically half plate, but it's medium armor. This means that a character who is not proficient in heavy armor can still use the reinforced chassis. For example, I am currently in the middle of building a druid automaton, and because druids can wear medium armor, I can use reinforced chassis. It's very cool. If you enhance it, you get a special reaction, chassis deflection. Make a DC 17 flat check, and if you succeed, a critical hit against you becomes a normal hit. Just a 20% chance to turn any crit back into a normal hit. Fantastic. Alright, level 5, Arcane Safeguards grants you a reaction, resist magic. As a reaction, if you are about to attempt a saving throw against a harmful magic effect, you get a +1. On top of that, if the triggering effect is arcane and you roll a success, you crit succeed instead. This is insanely powerful. This means you get a permanent +1 bonus against any fireballs, and if you normal succeed your reflex save against that fireball, you crit succeed instead and take no damage. This is so strong. Granted, it uses your reaction, so if you're something like a fighter that wants to use attacks of opportunity, this might not be as great for you, but especially on something like a spellcaster automaton hanging in the background that might get targeted by a spell, just +1 to your saving throw and auto crit succeed against arcane, it's just so good. If you enhance Arcane Safeguards, you gain temporary hit points equal to the level of the spell you resisted when you resist it. What's important to note is you don't need to succeed your saving throw to gain those temporary hit points. When you use the reaction, you gain the temp hit points. So even if you still crit fail against that level 5 fireball, you still get 5 temporary hit points to reduce the damage. This is phenomenal. Integrated armament is exactly what it sounds like. Hidden within your arm is now a weapon. Your hand can turn into a blade or something like that. You spend 1 minute installing the weapon, and it is then permanently in your arm. Well, I shouldn't say permanently. First off, it does give people a -2 penalty to seek to see if you are carrying a weapon. Trying to prove you have a weapon, they need to roll to see if they can detect the weapon, and this gives them a penalty on that. And you can't be disarmed without actually taking time to rip your arm apart. People cannot just roll to disarm with athletics. That's not gonna work because the weapon is built into your body. You can only have one weapon installed at a time, but by spending a single minute, you can replace it with a new weapon or even switch the arm it's stored in. The enhancement is pretty good too. It allows you to store 2 weapons instead of just one, or you can store 1 weapon and 1 shield, or you can store 1 two-handed weapon that comes out combined from both of your arms. Regardless, you're able to now draw both weapons or the two-handed weapons with a single interact action. Magical resistance. You select cold, electric, or sonic damage and gain resistance 5 to it permanently. Resistance 5 at level 5 as an ancestry feat is nuts. Automatons are so freaking strong. Should you enhance magical resistance, you can either gain resistance 5 to one of the other 2 damage types you didn't select, or change the value of the one you selected equal to 1 plus half your level. If you enhance it, this isn't going to do too much right away, but at higher levels, that could get you up to resistance 11 to something, which is not bad. 9th level's Arcane Camouflage lets you cast Blur and Invisibility once per day as 2nd level spells. There's not much to say about that. That just gives you really good blurring potential. It's great. The enhancement on this one is absolutely incredible. Blur's duration increases to 10 minutes. Your invisibility spell is now a 4th level spell, and you can cast both of them twice per day. 2 blurs, 2 4th level invisibilities. That's just... This ancestry is strong. Arcane Propulsion. For 2 actions, once per day, you can fly. Simple as that. For 5 minutes, your land speed also becomes a fly speed. It's so strong. Should you enhance Arcane Propulsion, you can just fly forever. It is a permanent fly speed equal to your movement speed. Cool! What is that, a level 18 champion feat? Arcane Slam, specifically for the Warrior Automaton heritage. If you have a creature grabbed, you can empower yourself with arcane energy and slam them into the ground. You make an athletics check against their fortitude DC with various bonuses or penalties depending on the difference in size category. Should you critically succeed your athletics check, they're knocked prone, dazzled for a round, and takes 2d6 plus strength mod in damage. And of course, you release your grab. If you normal succeed, you slam them down, they fall prone and take damage equal to your strength mod. If you fail, you don't lose the grab, which is nice, but they don't take any damage or fall prone. And if you crit fail, they simply slide out of your grip. Should you enhance this, they now take 2d6 plus strength on a normal success, and the crit success now deals 4d6 plus double your strength mod. Really, really solid. Core attunement for the Mage Automaton is okay. You gain a 1st and 2nd level arcane spell of your choice and can cast them both once per day. At level 9, this is a little bit weak, but you do get to pick any arcane spell for them, so that variety is pretty nice. If you enhance it, you also get a 5th level or lower and a 6th level or lower spell that you can also cast once per day. Lesser Augmentation at level 9 is when you can finally enhance a single level 1 or level 5 ancestry feat. All those enhancement effects we've been talking about on those lower level feats are only available at level 9. What's nice though is you can spend 1 week of downtime to switch your enhancement to a different feat, which is a really nice touch. If you enhance your Lesser Augmentation, you can now have 2 feats enhanced at the same time, and it only takes 1 day of downtime to switch them over instead of a week. Although it is 1 day per feat. If you want to change both of your enhancements, it will be 2 days. Rain of Bolts is a little broken right now, but I've actually gotten confirmation from Paizo that it does need to be errated. But as written, for 2 actions, you fire a bunch of projectiles out of your chassis, either in a 30-foot cone or a 10-foot emanation. As written, all creatures take 6d6 damage. No saving throw. Paizo has said they will be adding a reflex save to this, so this is effectively a piercing damage fireball that is based on the automaton's location. It's really strong even with the reflex save, but yeah, without a reflex save, this would be completely overpowered and broken beyond belief. The damage does scale up at levels 12, 15, and 18, and it can be enhanced. While enhanced, it can be used once per hour instead of once per day, and it deals 12d6 damage, plus you can flavor the projectiles to be cold iron, silver, or freaking adamantine. You know, the hardest and one of the rarest metals to find in Galarian. And then once you're level 20, it goes up to 13d6. Again, if this didn't get errata to have a reflex save, we'd have some problems. But with a reflex save, I think this is perfectly balanced. 13th levels, Arcane Locomotion gives you a 20-foot climb or swim speed, your choice. Once you enhance this feat, your base movement speed is increased by 5 feet, and the speed you chose from Arcane Locomotion is also increased by 5 feet. That is delightfully powerful, and if you're a Hunter Automaton, that means you have a base speed of 35 feet. Not bad. Astral Blink. You can cast Dimension Door once per hour at 4th level. You can just teleport. The enhancement is absolutely insane. When your turn begins in initiative, you can cast Dimension Door as a free action, but its effect changes. Now, for the rest of your turn, your stride actions are augmented to become teleportation. If you are going to stride 30 feet, you disappear and reappear 30 feet away. You can do that for every stride action that turn, and these stride actions don't trigger reactions that are based on movement. That's amazing. The only thing this triggers is those based on teleportation, as your strides do gain the teleportation and conjuration traits. This is so cool. Core rejuvenation is interesting. We talked about this a bit in my Guns and Gears livestream, in that this is a feat that is really good, but it will be very hard not to metagame if that's a problem you have at a table. As a free action, if you are about to make a recovery check, you instead set yourself to 1 hit point, wake up, and take your turn as normal. This is incredibly powerful and can completely swing a fight, but the issue I have here is that your core won't necessarily know what's going on, but then there's arguments to be had. As we read earlier, your core goes into a standby phase while sleeping. Does the same thing happen while unconscious? I don't know. If so, sure, your core can wait until there's no enemies around and then rejuvenate its core. Otherwise, it's going to be player knowledge, because, if you're surrounded by 15 enemies, you're not going to want to wake yourself back up. You're just going to go back down. But if you wait until all the enemies walk away, start fighting someone else, and then bring yourself back, if the automaton was unconscious, how could they know the enemies walked away? Only the player would know with their meta information. This is not going to be a problem for all tables, and obviously, you do you. But it's just weird to me that this feat almost requires meta player knowledge to make the most use out of it. The enhancement is insane, by the way. When you rejuvenate your core, rather than waking up with 1 hit point, you wake up with 1 hit point plus temporary hit points equal to 3 times your level. If you're level 17 or something? You're almost getting 60 temp hit points. Sure, it's only once per day, but that's insane! And they last for a full minute. It's not like 1 round, they're gone. No, they're there probably for the rest of the encounter. That's nuts. Enlarged Chassis. You are permanently enlarged, as though targeted by the enlarged spell. Neat. The enhancement's just really nice. You no longer take the clumsy penalty from the effects of enlarged, so your dex goes back up. Just really good. Alright, let's talk about those level 17 capstone feats for the automaton, starting with Axial Recall. We've seen feats like this before. You can cast Plane Shift twice per week, but only to travel to the plane of Axis. The reason they let you cast it twice per week is so you can get back. That's about it. It's good for flavor if you want to visit your home plane. Gnomes get the same thing. I'm actually going to talk about Greater Augmentation first, because it just lets you augment any 1st, 5th, 9th, or 13th level feat. Nothing else really to talk about here. You can spend a week to change that enhancement, plain and simple. And the reason I talked about that first is so that we could save Core Cannon for last. Once per day for 2 actions. Your body transforms into a powerful magical cannon. While immobile as a cannon, you can fire blasts of energy directly from your core, devastating your foes. You become immobilized until you use an interact action to revert back to your standard form. While in cannon form, the only actions you can use are to strike with an energy blast unarmed attack or revert back to standard form. You become a cannon! So basically, while in this form, you can only make these energy blast unarmed strikes, which deal 3d8 fire and 3d6 force damage. Now, what is really unfortunate about all of this is that it specifically says the only actions you can take are these blast energy strikes, which means you cannot flurry of blows with them, because flurry of blows is a different action. It's unfortunate, there's not going to be a whole lot of synergies with this, but it's still really cool. The damage gets upgraded to 4d8 and 4d6 at level 20. And while you do get the item bonus to hit from any hand wraps of Mighty Blows you might be wearing, unfortunately, striking and potency runes do not affect the energy blast unarmed strikes of cannon form. Should you ever critically hit while in cannon form, the target suffers 10 persistent fire damage, which granted, level 17 isn't all that much, but 10 persistent is nothing to sneeze at. This is so cool, it's so over the top, it's not even that powerful, I'll be honest, but it's really, really cool. And those are the feats and heritages available to the Automaton Ancestry for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Are you going to play an Automaton? Do you love them? Do you hate them? What's your favorite feat? What do you wish they would change? Do you not think they should put a reflex save on the broken piercing fireball? Because if you do, you can leave. I want to give a huge shout out to my patrons for supporting me in everything I do. If you would like to support me just like them, there is a link in the description to take you to the Known At Ones Patreon page. Thank you so much again to Roll for Combat for sponsoring the channel. Don't forget to enter into their RPG Superstar 2021 competition for your chance to be featured in the Battle Zoo Bestiary 2022. It's very exciting. Remember, you can enter up to 3 times. Deadline is December 7th, so get on that. Also, generic merch plug, not going to run an ad this time. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And until next time, Known At Ones.